Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to the Chicken Box. I'm your host by myself today, Kevin Impeccable Peck. Man, if you've never heard about the Chicken Box before, if you're from the Baltimore, the DMV area, that is four wings, fries, salt, pepper, ketchup. It's greasy. The box is greasy. You might be hungry now, and you might be saying, "I've never tried that." But then, I traveled the world a little bit, and you add a half and half, and some people don't know even what a half and half is. It's basically half sweet tea, half lemonade. But if you go down south, some other places they call it Arnold Palmer. They call it other names. But that's the preface of it. But really, we're powered by the Afro American newspaper. Yes, I'm going to say America's because I can't refute it. Oldest family owned black media company celebrating 131 years. Give it up for the Afro, y'all. We have to support. This is now a national treasure, and it's an institution that's been around for some time. But the Chicken Box is where we get to speak our truths. Now, I don't have to agree with you, but this is the place where you get to speak your truth, and we have different thought leaders. We have different topics on. Every year. But this one, we're talking about Black people versus Coppin State University. And some may not even know or have heard of Coppin. I don't know how. But if you haven't, we are going to enlighten you today. It is one of the premier institutions in the city of Baltimore and recognized all over the country. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Anthony Jenkins, which is the eighth president of Coppin State University, CSU for short, since May of 2020. And he's a very respected hire. He's my brother too, of another situation. We'll talk about that a little later. But President Jenkins is leading Coppin, and he's pushing it forward in innovation, excellence, and in teaching and research. If you didn't know before, a lot of people went back in the day to Coppin because they wanted to be teachers and study education. But it is so much more. President Jenkins, welcome to the Chicken Box. How are you today, sir?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you inviting me on to the Chicken Box. It's an honor to be here with you, and I am doing well. All things are great at Coppin State University.
All things are great at Coppin State. You have a choice by what you say. You ever meet a person and you say, "How you doing?" and they
That's
just
right.
say an average word about themselves. I could really never really understand that. Why, if you have a choice to say anything about yourself, would you do it average? That's just something to throw out there in the atmosphere.
I like
And
it.
so President Jenkins, what are the steps that you took to get here? Because I have a few friends who are presidents of universities, and it seems like it is a lot of work.
It is. As I tell folks, it is exciting and demanding. Before I even get into that, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of using your platform to do all the great work that you do and to talk about, great HBCUs like Coppin State University, but then so all of the other important issues that you tackle. I think we are in a time and in a space where it is more relevant and more important than ever before. So I just wanted to tip my hat to you and say thank you very much. All
You're
right.
welcome. Welcome to the show. Byron, I see you. I don't know if you're in Baltimore or Florida, but Byron, a longtime friend of the Afro, he's also been on the show as well. So, man, listen, we provided, Coppin has been a friend of the Afros for years. If you look back at the 131-year archives, you're going to find everything about Coppin. I might be safe to say that my grandmother's name, Frances L. Murphy, is still on one of the buildings at Coppin. I haven't been there in a few years. Is that possible still?
It is.
Okay, because I didn't know if you got your name on the building, could it be removed off? Or
No, it actually can, but when you have those names that are just really a part of the core of who you are and a part of the identity of the university, those tend to stick around for a little while longer.
well, thank you very much. And so that has another special place in my heart. I don't know why it just popped in my head, but it just did. But man, let's get down to the heart of really what you have on your mind. Tell me what was your thought when you wanted to just come and share about what's happening at Coppin today?
Yeah, I arrived, as you noted, I arrived at Coppin in 2020 in the midst of everything. I had just left being president at West Virginia State University for 4 years and had the opportunity to come to Coppin and a little closer to home because I'm originally from Washington, D.C. But I just felt as if this was a wonderful opportunity to be at a institution that I really wanted to help transform into becoming a leader in urban higher education. And over the last 4 years, we have been putting in the work.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, when people ask me how things are going today, I simply tell them at Coppin, everything is up. And so when I arrived, I said that our pace was going to be brisk and our trajectory was going to be north. And that is what we've accomplished over the last 4 years. And so our overall enrollment at the university is up 5%. Our retention is at a historic high at 74%, outpacing that of the national average for public institutions. Our research is up 1,200% over just 3 years. We've increased the university endowment by 53% in 3 years. We have won 2 conference championships, bringing championships back to Baltimore. And I always remind people that in the NAIA in 1976, Coppin won a national championship in basketball.
What?
Oh,
Y'all
yeah.
have always had a pretty decent team.
Very, very
I had
good
even
team.
some of my frat brothers, Phil Booth and those guys who were at. I don't know if you got a chance to meet Phil. He went to Cop and they were on that team that went to the tournament
That's right.
a few years back.
And that is still that 1990s team still holds the biggest upset in NCAA history when we beat number 2 University of South Carolina by double digits, right? And so those things are up. We lead the MEAC conference with the highest student athlete graduation rate for the 3rd consecutive year.
Come on.
That is higher than Howard. That's higher than Morgan.
Oh man, I don't like to hear that. But anyway, go ahead.
That is higher than North Carolina Central University, Norfolk, UMES. That's how our student athletes are performing. So I like to say Coppin State University is where scholars and champions are made. We are winning championships, but we're also excelling academically. And then all the other things that I can talk about, we are pushing the boundaries of learning. We are using virtual reality in our criminal justice classes and our nursing program. Our nursing program is ranked #1 amongst Maryland's HBCUs. Forbes ranked our psychology program one of the best in the nation. Our business management program is in the top 40 nationally, and I can go on and on. But these are the things.
Please go on and on, because I think a lot of times everybody just doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And this is why the Afro has been here for 131 years in the community, so that we've got to toot our own horns, people, and we got to know what's happening, because it's a young person out there that might not even know they're going to Coppin, but they're going.
That's right. And again, that's where I think the relationship with the Afro and Coppin State University has been so valuable, because it has allowed us to drive our narrative and tell our story. And when I got here, that's one of the things I talked about, was that we were going to introduce and reintroduce Coppin State University. We were going to introduce our incredible institution to those who didn't know us. And there are some folks out there who do not know us. And we were going to reintroduce ourselves to those who have an outdated perception of this university. We just opened a brand new College of Business. We are breaking ground on a new residential facility in the summer of 24, bringing an additional 350 beds onto campus, moving us to my goal of 1,500 beds here on campus to increase more density that ultimately will help with the pivoting and the culture change that I want at the university. We have seen a significant uptick in students who are conducting groundbreaking research on our campus, presenting at national conferences. And here's something that I'm very proud of. Here at Coppin, we don't allow a person's zip code or their household income or a test on a Saturday morning to dictate the rest of their lives. That's why I got rid of the SAT. I don't believe that it's a factor in the success of students' achievement at the collegiate level. right? I believe if you put students in the right environment, they will excel. And so, because we have a high impact, high touch campus environment, on this campus, I have something that many of my colleagues won't have. I have the student who didn't do well in high school, but want to go to college. And maybe they didn't go to the best high school, no fault of their own. Now, they shouldn't be penalized for that, right? They should still have the opportunity for access and a quality education. And on the same campus, I have students who are the valedictorians and the salutatorians of their high school. And I get both those students over the finish line.
Mm.
What we're seeing too much of these days in higher education, and even among some of our HBCUs, which is a little troubling, is that they are reducing the number of Pell eligible students that they're enrolling, and they're becoming more selective. And I believe that it is that bottom quartile that we have to continue to make sure that we lift. And that's one of the core promises of Coppin and our mission, and we're never going to abandon that. And that's why we do a great job of lifting so many low-income students and families of color into the middle class when compared to our peers across the great state of Maryland.
Boom. Because I tell you, I hated that SAT. If you just tuned in, I'm speaking with Coppin State University, CSU, reigning from Baltimore's president, Mr. Anthony Jenkins, my frat brother. For those of y'all who know about Kappa Alpha Psi, you know how we do.
That's
And,
right.
You know, we love the Divine Nine, but we know we stand on the diamond. So it's no wonder that, you know, what I like about what you said, brother, is that you came here and you said you spoke, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said, what did you say you spoke? You spoke that you would go up and
So,
and
so I
forward.
said that our trajectory, our pace was going to be brisk, and our trajectory was going to be north.
All right. Well, the
Right.
point I'm trying to get to is you spoke it, right?
That's right.
And you put that out there in the atmosphere, and that is coming from the top. And so
That's
when
right.
that comes from the top, that translates your leadership style has been effective just based on the numbers, because the numbers don't lie, right? But what I love the most is the inclusion. So Coppin in that bougie, you know what I mean? Sometimes these places, these HBCUs get bougie. They wanna limit who can come in, and they all of a sudden have a crystal ball or who's gonna do well. Because I hate it. I mean, I went to SAT school, tutorial. I had everything, and I when I tell you, whatever points you got for writing your name on it, that's probably what I got. But at Morgan State, I had a 3.9 in marketing. So those two things, I'm glad you throwing the SAT out. People, send your kids to Coppin.
That's right. That's right. Bring them on.
They turn the average into way above average. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, your point is, well taken. I mean, I myself, I didn't do well on the SAT. In fact, when I went to Fayetteville State University, they had something called the institutional SAT. That the institution, they provided a SAT for you that you could only use at that university.
Gotcha.
Right. And I remember when the admission counselor came back in the room, and he had a look on his face like, and I was saying to myself, okay, this is not good. Right. And he said, you didn't do as well as we would have liked. Right. But here's the beauty of what Fayetteville State did. They gave me what I needed, and that was an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right. And so from that opportunity, here we sit as a two-time president of two different institutions. And so to your point, if we immerse our students in the right environment, if we help them understand that belief in self is more powerful than any naysayer or cynical person you're ever going to meet, they can climb any mountain and soar as high as they want to. That's why we tell our students at Coppin that the sky is not the limit. Despite people saying the sky is the limit, we say the sky is not the limit, because no one can put limits on what you're going to achieve in your life.
Absolutely. If you just tuned in, man, this is good. And sometimes you think you know that you finish school and that you're gonna stop learning, but you're not.
Yeah.
And so, man, I just love the fact that HBCUs in general, what that Coppin is willing to love on these kids. These kids, they just need a little love. Like that light switch is ready. They really just click on, right? And go. Like everybody has to find that time when that light clicks on and they're like, oh, Oh yeah, okay. I thought I wanted to be a doctor,
That's right.
but I really like this technology, or I really like teaching, or but they don't know,
No.
and then they're spinning around. Uh, Talk to me about the person. What's the mission? Well, let me see. When you visit Coppin,
Mhm.
what happened? What do you experience for the first time?
So we have really revamped what that looks like for us. We have destination coppins that we take out throughout the state and across the nation. But when students come to our campus, we have worked to make sure that they are introduced to a charged environment that helps them understand that we're here to nurture their potential and transform their lives. And that is a process. We want them to understand, and we tell them right up front, don't get fixated on the end goal. You are going to get to the end goal. The most important part is the journey. That's the experience. That's where you transform. That's where, if you keep your mind as open as your eyes, and if you're willing to accept the expectations and the challenges that we're going to put before you, we're going to transform you from a student to scholar to leader. And so we talk about those things. We talk about helping them understand that earning your degree doesn't make you educated, right?
Absolutely not.
Right. It is about growing, right? It is about how we help you transition into a better version of yourself. And what we are seeing is that we are seeing students from around the world come to Coppin for the Coppin experience. So we now have students who are coming to us from 37 states, including the District of Columbia, and 31 countries.
Mm,
And so we talk about, when students come to us, we don't ask them, what do you want to major in? We ask them, what is your mission? What is your purpose? What do you want to do? Because majors change.
that's good.
What you want to do in life drives you. And so that, coupled with the fact that we challenge them to understand, here, although we are historically Black, we're not exclusively Black. So therefore, we are going to put you in situations where you interact with those who look differently, think differently, and come from different places. Because if we're going to prepare you to be on the world stage, you have to be immersed in an environment that is not only diverse, but multicultural. And those are what we tell our students and our parents coming in. And then I simply tell them, if you're not ready to be pushed beyond your creative limits and your intellectual curiosity, if you just want to be average, there's over 4,000 other choices for you in the nation. Go select one of those, because eagles are built to do things differently.
Mm. I'd like to get into that story of the Eagles before we leave. We can talk about the Eagles story. But if you just tuned in, I have the president of Coppin State University, located in Baltimore, one of our esteemed historically Black colleges. Primarily, used to be a place where it was a teachers' college, right?
That's right.
That's kind of how it started out. So let me pivot there for a second. I was reading somewhere that it said there was a shortage of African American male teachers
Mhm.
in our cities today. Do you find that more men are attending Coppin and looking to go into the classroom?
Uh, yes and no. More men are attending Coppin, but we're still at about a 60-40 ratio. And that kind of mirrors what you see nationally. We have seen a decline. When I say we as a nation have seen a decline in the number of men, not only African American men, but white men and other men of color, moving toward education. And I think a part of that is because of some of the what I call ready out of high school jobs that they can walk into and start making money.
Mm,
Um, and yet, in the same breath, what we hear from the national landscape is that the jobs of the future are STEM jobs, nursing jobs, healthcare jobs. All of these things are going to require some type of post secondary education. So we have been strategizing here at Coppin about how do we address the shortage of men, and especially men of color, moving towards higher education. With regards to teaching, because that's one of our strongholds, we have a Center for Inclusive Excellence on campus, which has been tapped as a national model, where we are looking at improving success at the K through 12 level, but also getting more men of color into the classroom. And it's one of those things where we have to show young men that teaching can be as sexy as cybersecurity, and that you can have a significant impact. When you talk about social justice, when you talk about changing other young men's lives, being a teacher helps you do that. And so that's where we have been here at our institution. In fact, we are rolling out a program where we are looking to recruit young men who want to go into teaching, who want to teach in Baltimore, who want to teach in Maryland. And if they do, they come to Coppin tuition free.
Man, that's fantastic. You heard that? It'll be taped and you can rewind it if you didn't
That's
hear
right.
it. If
That's
you just tuned in, this is the Chicken Box. We're speaking to the president of Coppin State University. And, you made me think of something during your last comment. And you said that teaching isn't sexy, right? But I don't know if Coppin's done it yet, but all of these content creators on YouTube are really just teaching.
That's right.
They're teaching all kind of topics, and they think that's the sexiest thing in the world right now, right? And they're getting paid to actually teach some of this content that we consume on the internet. Is Coppin embracing the content creators out there in an educational curriculum kind of format?
Yes, we are. And again, that's where, back to my earlier point, that's how we are trying to pivot to help them connect the dots, right? I mean, this old image of Miss Crabtree sitting behind a desk with the, apple on the desk, teaching and writing on the, chalkboard, those days are long gone. And so even at the K through 12 level, you are talking about content developers, you're talking about technology, you're talking about virtual reality. Learning is moving in a different direction. And so while we've been able to build some inroads, we are still committed to driving deeper and broader in how we help them connect those dots. Now, here's what we're also pushing, is that on a statewide and legislative front, then we want to also push to make sure that teachers from a economic standpoint are in a better position. Right? Because
we need that. We need
that also drives it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where the state has to continue to do a better job to work with its 4 and 2 year institutions and making sure that we can partner and also impact salaries for our teachers in the same way that we're trying to talk about all of these things that you and I just touched on.
Right. The highways can't get more money than the education system.
That's right.
I don't know what the budget is. I just threw that out there. But whatever the budget is kind of lean and funny. But I think you were just ranked among one of the 25 people. Let me see what it is. 25 top Marylanders to watch by the Baltimore Sun.
Yeah, I've been.
You're on the power list. You're also on the Afro power list, of course. But talk about the power list.
I've been very, very fortunate to receive some outstanding accolades since I've arrived here in a very short period of time. And I will tell you that I credit a lot of that to my team here at Coppin. Coppin's been punching above its weight for a long time. And if you hit the rewind tape over the last 4 years, I mean, Coppin has been at the top of conversations and newsreels, and it's been for positive things. And so, our team continues to do an incredible job, and our students are great ambassadors of this institution. I fortunately get to be the figurehead and the recipient of a lot of their hard work. And that's why I always make sure that people understand when I step on stage to receive any type of award, right? This is on behalf of my entire campus because they have played a significant role in me standing here. And that's where I think another important piece here at Coppin, where we've seen an actual shift, is just the number of incredible faculty and dedicated staff who get up every morning and they come to this institution and they are hell bent on making sure that these students finish what they start and that they understand that we are here to help them. We don't always knock it out of the park. The student is not always happy. Things don't always go according to plan. But that's what family is all about, right? Most people in your life don't get on your nerves more than family. Sometimes family just has a way of just getting on your nerves sometimes. But that doesn't mean that you separate yourself or you get a divorce. It means that you're both so passionate, you sometimes have to readdress how you're communicating with each other and get back on board. But, Powerless, Maryland top 25 people to, watch, top 10 HBCU, distinguished presidents, yada, yada, yada. All of that means is that I've been very fortunate, blessed, and lucky to be in the right places at the right time.
Absolutely, and you pledge Kappa Alpha Psi, so we're gonna give you that. You got a little leadership,
Always.
little leadership learning back when you were in school.
Always.
Diane, Jewel, Lenore, thank you for tuning in. Anybody else who's watching and you haven't thought about Coppin State University, and maybe you didn't even know that they were HBCU, they are winning, y'all, in a lot of categories. They're up in a lot of statistics, and I don't know if that means anything to you, but the biggest statistic to me is that they're gonna love on everybody.
That's right.
Everybody gets a chance when they come in those doors, and they don't ask them what you're gonna major in. If you missed that part, they say, "What's your mission?" And matter of fact, I believe if you hang around the good doctor here, you even if you don't know your mission, you're gonna come in there and you're gonna figure it out because he's gonna push you to think in a way that you haven't been, challenged. And if we don't challenge these young people, they're gonna skip over these institutions.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point, and I approach it from a place of authenticity, from where I came from and what people did for me.
Right.
I mean, there are so many people in my life that are no longer here and some that are here that I owe a debt that I could never repay. Right. So I understand what mentorship means. I understand what it means for my students to see me walk across campus, to be in the dining hall eating with them, to be on the basketball court, to be on the track field running with them, to see me in the audience at
you still running.
Still running. When I was a young man, I ran the 110 high hurdles and the 200 and the 4x1, and I don't turn it as quite fast as I used to. But now it's all about the spirit of just being out there with my students, because it's a way informally for them to connect with me and for them to understand. Like I tell them, when they commit to Coppin, they have a president that is committed to them.
Nice.
And I want them to make sure that they don't have to climb through, alligator filled water and climb walls to get to me. I'm accessible. They can find me out on campus. They can find me anywhere, and they have the opportunity to come up and talk to me about anything. And I believe in getting things done, because as a young man who grew up on the southeast side of Washington, D.C., my mother and father divorced when I was 4, so I was raised by a single mother. I have a beautiful sister and 2 knucklehead brothers. And what my mother did with my sister and how she took 3 boys and turned them into men is nothing short of remarkable. So I always challenge people, don't ever underestimate the power of a Black woman, because she can do things that the average person, even the most superior person, couldn't even fathom. But what she instilled in us, even though she never went to college and I was a first college graduate, is that she wanted more for her sons and her daughter. And I got that also when I went to Fayetteville State, right? Another incredible HBCU that, as I tell people, I was born in Washington, D.C. I grew up at Fayetteville State, right? Because what that institution did for me, what it gave me, lifelong friendships, self-efficacy, confidence, belief in self, and the backdrop to grow and make mistakes and not have my head cut off. Those are the things that I want for my students. And
Mm.
so that's why I give them that, because I know in that environment that they can turn out and do great things.
Absolutely. I love how you say the belief in self. If I learned a long time ago, you're the most important person in the world.
Hey, like I tell my students, nobody should love you more than yourself, not even your
Absolutely.
parents.
If
Nobody.
you're listening to our voice and you don't love yourself, let's try loving
That's right.
yourself
That's
just a little bit more. I wanted to say shoot yourself, but that wasn't nice.
right. Nah,
That's not nice.
nah,
But that's what went through my mind, but that's not nice to
because,
say.
because you listen, you're absolutely right. And I tell my nobody should love you more than you love yourself, not even your parents, because when you love yourself, that impacts your judgment and your decision making, right? And it puts you in a situation where you make better decisions and you start to better assess the people who you call your friends, which I think is one of the most dangerous words in the human language. Um, and so if you don't love yourself, you find yourself simply coexisting and following others and stealing their voice and their identity to create who you think you should be.
Yeah, and that happens a lot of times with parents, right?
That's right.
And students. They didn't make the decision to pursue whatever it was that they thought that they wanted to accomplish. And so then they try to instill that sometimes on the student,
That's right.
right? But the student has no interest in wanting to do what the parent missed their opportunity to do. Or maybe they didn't miss their opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because my biological father went back to school to get his master's at 55. So I guess it's a time in your mind that you just put a limitation on it, because as long as you're living and breathing, you can still go get whatever it is that you want to go get. It's not really a time limit. That's why they call it, I guess, the American dream at some point. We know the Black American dream is a little harder, but it's still the American dream. But when that's the fact that I'm always going to push towards HBCUs. I'm like, we got a bunch of them out there. I don't know the exact number. Anyway, how many are there?
101.
101.
101.
You can pick one of them.
That's right.
If you can't pick it, then you can figure out how to pay for whatever other school you want to go to. And so, because when nobody else will let us in,
That's right.
we were there.
That's
the
right.
HBCUs were there. So I'm glad to stand on the shoulder of that. And you know, you can give your kids options, but if you paying,
yeah, and you know, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the things that you know, we are so proud of here at Coppin. We're the most affordable 4-year university in the state of Maryland.
Most affordable.
Most affordable.
Let's hear about that.
Most affordable 4-year university in the state of Maryland. And so Grad Report, which is a national organization, they look at colleges and universities and they assess where a student is 1 year after graduation, if they're in their major, and what their salary is, and they compare that with what they paid for their education. So they looked at all of the 4-year colleges and universities in the state of Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and Coppin is ranked 7th out of 50 institutions. Okay.
But I didn't even know it was 50 colleges and universities in Maryland.
So when you talk about 4 years, you talk about 4-year publics, 4-year privates, those type of institutions, 2-year institutions. There are a lot of institutions in the great state of Maryland. And so we are ranked 7th. And we out-topped a lot of bigger institutions with bigger budgets and more name recognition. And that's why I always challenge parents and students, don't pay more and get less. Life is about productivity, not about name and brand, right? So you can go to this place based on the hype. But if you're not prepared, when you get to your place, if you can't produce, you're not staying. Okay.
You're definitely not staying, especially if somebody else is paying.
Precisely. So you know, we are very proud of, you know, how affordable we are, but we're even doing more to drive down the cost of education. So I created our presidential scholarship, and the presidential scholarship is a full ride. Now, Let's connect the dots on what I said earlier about the SAT. I don't put any stock in the SAT. And I don't put a lot of stock in only focusing on students who have 4.0s and 3.7s and 3.9s and so forth. Because people's lives are different in different situations, I think that there is a swath of students, that middle bandwidth, that we tend to miss out on when it comes to all of the potential and the determination and so forth. You take someone who could have a 2.9 GPA and someone who has a 3.7 GPA, maybe the individual with the 2.9 had to babysit their brother and sister after school. Maybe they had to have a part-time job. Maybe they had to do other things. Maybe the 3.7 didn't have to do those things, right? Now, if the 3.7 did those things and so forth, you want to weigh all of those too. But here's what we've done at Coppin. The presidential scholarship starts at the 2.8 GPA.
Mm.
Not the 4.0, not the 3.9, the 3.5. It's the 2.8 and up. So with a 2.8 GPA and a couple of other factors about community engagement and all of these things, you could earn a free ride for 4 years, not paying a penny here at Coppin State University. And that's coming from, again, the most affordable 4-year university in the state.
You might have missed it. You might have gone straight from high school to work. Is it an age limit?
No.
So you could pick back up, y'all. If you missed it, maybe you didn't finish college and you always wanted to finish.
Come on.
You can come on to Coppin. They ready. they got some money too, and a great opportunity. I like the fact that the out of the box thinking, because for so long it seemed like education was just on the same schedule as the what were those factories back in the day, and they assumed that everybody was going to learn a certain way, everybody was going to excel a certain way. I happened to sit on a plane, one of my white brothers, and he said, I didn't know him, but we just started talking about literacy, and he just went on to say that most people in the jail system, 70% of them can't read.
That's right.
And I said, wow, that was an alarming statistic. And he said it comes from in school when they're embarrassed at a young age because they think they're going to get the answer wrong. So because they don't learn exactly how everybody else learns. Yep. And then rather than be embarrassed, they would skip school.
Yeah.
Or begin to hang out with the crowd that the parents don't want them to hang out with. And before you know it, they've made a decision that got them in a place that they really didn't want to be in.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we're using our teacher education program here to help do things at the K through 12 level, because we know at that 3rd and 4th grade level, that's when that academic achievement gap starts to open. Mm-hmm. And so if Anthony falls back in the 3rd and 4th grade, many schools have taken out any type of remedial support services to help me catch up. So I continue to fall back further and further. And at some point, because the teacher is not teaching in a way that I can connect the dots, or I'm not getting the wraparound support services I need to help with my various deficiencies, I get frustrated, I wash my hands of it, and I stop coming. Mm-hmm. Right? Either physically I stop coming, or I tune out, hence I start acting out, because nobody is listening to me and nobody's helping me. And I think when people encounter young people who act out, they say, "Oh, they're just a bad seed." Well, I disagree with that. In many cases, it's they don't know how to articulate, "I need help." Absolutely. So as if I act out, I get attention, even if it's negative attention. So there is work to be done there. And as a teacher education institution, which, as you noted, that's what we were founded on, we are very committed to that here at Coppin. But I went through some of that. When I was in high school, I had a severe stuttering problem, and it was always Miss McCoy would always call on me to get up and read, and that was embarrassing.
Right.
And it was humiliating. And my class would laugh, right? And that impacts a person's self-esteem and all of these things. And so I think that our teachers, up against everything they're up against, for the most part, do an incredible job. But we can't have a one size tailor education approach when you know some students learn better through visual, some students learn better through hands on, some students learn better through lecturing. So if you lecture, you're missing 2/3 of your class,
Right.
right? So it's that type of approach that we have to use that is multi-pronged. So you are absolutely correct about that.
Man, if you just tuned in, we are talking to Coppin State University's. He's the man, y'all. I mean, you need to have, and there's nothing wrong with a man's man, right? You need a man. I'm not saying a woman can't do it, but I'm saying you see a strong black man leading a strong black institution who really cares. It's more than just the names behind his achievements or the letters behind his achievements. He really cares about the student. Just from this brief moment of hanging out here on the chicken box, I can tell that I always overlook Coppin because I grew up right down the street from Coppin. I
Yeah.
just ride up Gwynns Falls.
Yeah.
We hung out at Coppin. There was some cool parties. There was some cool basketball games. But all of a sudden you would see these great buildings go up, and you're like, wow, they got a better something than us. Or that's a really nice stadium. That's a really nice building. You saw how the development started to impact the community.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, hey, I'm glad you're here. You know what I'm saying? Because especially growing up in the neighborhood, you can do nothing but enhance it. A lot of people leave the neighborhood, but you guys are actually taking the neighborhood and making it, just making it better. If I can just say that for lack of better words.
Well, thank you. I'll touch on 2 points about that. One is I think what you describe with you is so important because sometimes that which is closest to us, we sometimes don't value in the same way, which we see that over in the distance. And I think that what Coppin historically, and I'm glad we've overcome, even though we were a strong teacher college, that academic rigor, that academic reputation still lagged some of our sister institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been working and we've done, I think, a very good job of closing that gap. And so that's why I led with, I'm very proud that we're being tapped now with nationally ranked academic programs, and we're a leader in urban higher education and all of these wonderful things. But here's the other piece that I think is so valuable about Coppin. As an anchor institution, we have a responsibility to the community. I chair the West North Avenue Development Authority, which is a piece of legislation that was established in 2021, where we are revitalizing West North Avenue. So between Coppin State University and MICA, which is our arts institution, everything between that, we are revitalizing. We are creating a new quality of life ecosystem that focuses not just on renovating old buildings, but about education, about healthcare, about green space, about quality of life, about second chance opportunities for those returning home. It's about how we transform a major corridor of a major U.S. city that has been purposefully forgotten for decades. Absolutely. So I am very proud that work is underway and we are making progress.
Man, it's like getting to know Coppin. I'm ready. I think Afro family to do a HBC. I would like to sit down with all 101 of our different beautiful HBCUs and speak, just so we can just hear the heart of the president, and from the leadership it flows down, typically of the from that vision to everybody else in the university, and we are proud of Coppin State University. You guys have a big gala coming up. Talk to me about your gala.
Yeah, we so when I arrived in 2020, excuse me, I started thinking about what could we do to celebrate Coppin, celebrate our students, our incredible alumni, and then how do we build stronger partnerships with the business industry, with corporations and so forth. So I hatched the idea, sitting with my team. I said, we're going to have a gala. And these are the things that I want us to see. I want us to recognize people who are doing great things. I want to be able to highlight all the excellent work we're doing. And I want people to have a good time. And we're going to raise money for scholarships for our students. And so I think that it was a mixed bag. I think that the folks at the table, half were excited and half were kind of scratching their head, because I started telling them about things that I wanted and how I wanted it to look. And I said, and for the first one, we're going to have 500 people there. And I think most everyone kind of fell out of their chairs like, okay, is this guy crazy? He wants us to put on a gala, which we've never had. And he wants us to have corporate sponsorships and CEOs and elected officials there. And he wants 500 people to fill a room. What I told them was that if you don't believe in your product, you can't sell it. And nobody's going to buy it, right? You have to believe in it, not partially. You have to believe in it holistically, because it is you and you are a part of it. And so as we talked more and they started to see people return phone calls and the groundswell and the planning was coming together, last year we launched our inaugural gala, which was held at the Baltimore Marriott waterfront. 550 plus people poured out to support the hometown university, Coppin State University, and it was magnificent. When I tell you it raised the bar on galas in this city, I was at an event not too long ago. People are still talking about our gala. So the blessing and the curse in that is that you, again, do something extraordinary to capture people's attention, bring alumni back, bring donors in, bring corporate partners in. Now you have to make sure that you maintain that level of excellence, excitement, and greatness for the next go around. So on May 4th, this year, 2024, we will have our second gala, which will be in the same location, the Baltimore Marriott waterfront. Their tickets have gone fast, and that comes off of the groundswell of energy that we saw last year. I think when I last checked earlier this week, we have about 45, maybe 47 tickets left.
Oh, yeah, that's not much.
And we have already sold over 630 tickets. So this is the gala of the year. And so I encourage folks to come out, support Coppin, but most importantly, support our students. 70% of our graduates stay in the state of Maryland when they graduate. Over 50% of our graduates stay in Baltimore City. We have a tremendous economic impact on this great city in this wonderful state. And when folks invest in our gala, they are investing in a strong Baltimore and a strong Maryland. And so I'm encouraging 47 listeners to go out there, get online, grab those tickets.
Let's walk down with the gala, okay? First of all, Black people we don't say gala that much, but Black excellence is all right. But when a gala comes, right, all of a sudden, if you're married, you got somewhere to go.
That's right.
And not only do you have somewhere to go, that's different from just to the restaurant or to the movies or whatever else you guys do as couples. You have a night out with your lady or your man, and you have a reason now, ladies, to go shopping because you need a new dress. You just can't go to the gala with just the old dress because somebody saw the old dress before. So you need a new dress, and you can't just get the dress. You need the shoes. You got to get your hair and nails done. You got everything. I mean, ladies, throw in a massage if you need to, right? Throw in all of that stuff for the gala. You need it, and then you're a night around beautiful Black people.
That's right.
Who believe in the cause of raising money for Coppin State University, one of our premier HBCUs. So not only are you having a great time, but you're also going to dress up. And Black people, we just don't go to a gala. It's going to be a party. You're going to eat good, and you're going to be out there on the waterfront. You know what I mean? You dressed up, so behave yourself. Don't do you can't drop it low as you used to. But it's
Well, you know what? Listen, I'm gonna say this. Your last year we had DJ Quicksilver, and
I
oh
know quick. Yeah.
man, I'm telling you, to your last point, I think some of those ball gowns were stretched to the limit. I'll just say that. All right. But people were having a wonderful time. And I want to thank you all. I want to thank Afro. You all were a sponsor last year. You are a sponsor this year. Listen, I mean, how you all invest in Baltimore and especially Black Baltimore is something to be commended. You all create platforms for our narratives, our voices. That should be commended. And I challenge people to make sure that they support you all, just like we're asking them to support our institutions through readership and membership and donations and all of those
Thank
things.
you for that point, because for less than 2 Uber Eats,
I
you
mean,
can have a digital subscription for $100 a year. You can not only help us, because we have a lot of young Gen Z and millennial superstars that are on our staff, but we're not owned by anybody else. I don't know if you can remember when BET got sold.
yep.
Anything that could educate us or stimulate our mental was taken off. They took off Tavis Smiley. They took off all of the shows that were newsworthy when BET got sold. Nobody for 131 years has owned the Afro-American newspaper. It's been a closed company. We're never going to sell, and we're always going to be the voice of African Americans in the DMV, but globally. So go to afro.com. We need you. I'm not gonna say, I mean, like we all you got. We do need your support, because everybody looks at numbers and they're like, well, you used to have all these subscriptions. Come on, man, $40. That's an Uber. Anyway.
Yeah. Listen, you sound like me. When I'm talking to donors and I'm talking about how, the average student at Coppin may have in a given year a unmet financial need of $1,000 or $1,200 or something, and I'm talking to folks who in a year spend $1,200 and don't remember what they spent it on.
Right.
That can be the difference between someone earning a college degree and not.
Absolutely.
And so I think when we challenge people to look at it from a different perspective, you're talking $40. You can't even go out and feed two people for $40 at a restaurant these days, outside of McDonald's maybe. But that $40 goes a long way, and it's a return on investment that strengthens our community. So I just, you all didn't ask me to, say that. I just wanted to tee it up because I know how important you all are in the relationship that you have with Coppin, and I want to thank you for that.
You said tee it up. You play golf?
I do.
All right, we need to do an Afro Coppin golf tournament.
So let me talk about that. When I arrived, we revamped our golf classic. And when I tell you it is the greatest golf classic in Maryland, hands down. So when I arrived, the previous golf classics were making around $20,000-$30,000 a year and so forth. And I said, no, we're gonna revamp this, right? Because there's a great opportunity here for us to raise money for our athletic department, which we need. And so sponsorships and all of those things, we need sponsors for our athletic department. And so I said, we're gonna have this wonderful golf tournament, but we're also gonna have a non-golf experience. And we added that to our golf tournament. So outside of 144 golfers who come out, and for the last 3 years, they have turned out in great numbers. We also have, my wife has the First Lady Putting Challenge.
Yeah.
We have a cigar rolling experience. We have a wine tasting experience. We have live music. Our golf classic is second to none.
Like a day party.
It is. And so what we wanted to do, and then we also have lessons and these things, what we wanted to do was for the folks who wanted to support, but while we're out on the golf course for 4 hours, What do the people back in the rear do? They have nothing to do. So we wanted to make sure we had a quality non-golfer experience, and our alums and the community have responded well. So you and I got to get out there, swing those sticks. I'm telling you, I am long off the box, probably 280, 300. Putting game is tight. The irons let me down from time to time, but I am working on those as well.
If we lost y'all, we went into golf world for 1 second. A great sport. And guess what? I think Coppin, you guys got a golf team?
I am starting a golf team next fall. So yes, we are moving in that direction. It's going to be
kids play golf. If not, if you don't, let them be exposed to the sport. It's a great sport. But let me just wrap it up, because let's get on the box. Let me. I'm gonna get on the box first.
All right. Okay.
First of all, Melvin and Diane and Janelle and everybody who have been listening and chiming in, and if you're catching it on the replay, we really appreciate it. Think about Coppin State University. They are not the Coppin that you thought it was. And if you didn't think about it, you really need to look at it, because it's something that you didn't even expect. They're on a whole different level. And I've had 3 kids go through college, and I had to sit through that orientation speech, and I heard all of the presidents. But Brother Jenkins, right now, well, it's close. I can't go against Morgan, because I get bad. But you're right up there. You're right up there with it. You're right up there with it. So I'm on the box. I'm saying, consider Coppin State University. Consider HBCU. When you are paying for your kids, it's 101 places they can go. They can see the whole country almost. If they don't want to be in the backyard, they say, I'm leaving Baltimore as soon as I graduate. Fine, pick one of those. But if you're gonna stay, and I heard him say earlier that it's a bunch of money for going to Coppin State, consider Coppin State University. And think about it. College isn't for everyone. And even when those 2.9s, those 3, whatever those numbers are that you graduate, I've graduated 3.9. That has nothing to do with, can you do your job now? Nobody asked you that on your workplace. It just shows that you can really progress through a system. And like you said, get to the other side, through all of the things that you will be exposed to, and the friends that you will meet along the way. It's what really makes your college experience. Because 9 times out of 10, whatever you end up doing, you don't use half of the stuff you did in college. I hate to say it, but that's just it. But it develops you in a way that is unparalleled, that I've seen. So please consider, if you're going to go that route of college, Coppin State University. I'm off the box. I felt like you were running for president or something. You're already the president. But anyway.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank you for this opportunity to just have a conversation, talk about Coppin, talk about a couple other things. But for those parents, for those students who are out there looking for a quality institution, listen, there are many quality universities across our nation. The difference is the nurturing environment that you're going to get. Here at Coppin, we still believe in something called in loco parentes. That is Latin for in place of the parent. See, we understand the assignment that when parents bring us their student, they are entrusting us to feed them, educate them, keep them safe, take care of them. And when I return, I expect you to hand them back to me better than when I brought them here. We believe in that wholeheartedly. Or if you're a non-traditional student who is returning to start a degree later or finish a degree, Coppin is for you. Our nationally ranked programs in business and psychology and social work and nursing and STEM and criminal justice and teacher education, these are our strongholds. You will find a place here that will allow you to transition, transform, and be that individual that you want to be. You said something earlier. Most people fall into a career. So that's why we focus on transferable skill building. We talk about stackable credentials. We talk about the mission versus major, because we know that in life you will gravitate to what drives you, and that may not be what you majored in college. Coppin will help you develop lifelong friendships, help you transform into a better version of yourself. It's a wonderful place to be. But if you, for some reason, don't see that Coppin is for you and you want to go to college, just go. I need more Black and brown young people and adult learners to get that degree and keep moving forward. So I'm off the box.
He's off the box, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. This has been a great show. It's been a minute. I've been traveling. I got a chance to meet a new frat brother. That's always good. Thanks to everybody who's commented. And it's only 45 tickets. 45. Fellas, it is a layup to go to the Gala. Man, we can get a new suit out of it or tuck out of it as well. But remember, if you haven't smiled today, please smile. It makes you feel better. Dr. Jenkins and myself already said it's important to put yourself as the most important person and call a senior. I say it every week. They want to hear from you. I just left a funeral yesterday. You never know when it's the time of one of your loved ones to go. So call them. Don't text them. If you want to text, teach them how to FaceTime. But call them, get on FaceTime, and tell them you love them. Just spend a little bit of time with them. I'm telling you, it's going to go a long way in the investment into your family. Until next week, God willing, we will see you on the Chicken Box. Brother Jenkins, hang on 1 second. Will do. Everybody else, you have a fantastic day. Take care, everybody.